Good times.
All right, here we are. Are we up, Gracie?
We are.
We're ready.
Hey,
Hi, good
happy
morning.
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, Janice.
Yeah.
All right, hey, everybody. It's us. It's Kate Richburg and Janice Parsons live from beadshopdotcom.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
I
it's
know.
been a week since we were pearl knotting and doing some
I know.
things, and so we've got some great stuff cooked up today.
I know. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. You know, I'm still having leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Now it's sandwiches with cranberry
Right.
sauce. Yeah.
I actually made turkey enchiladas. They were delightful.
And Lydia's coleslaw.
See, perfect.
Great recipe. I'll
Yeah.
be happy to share it.
Oh, we
Yeah.
should do a recipe.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the holiday, the Hanukkah, Christmas, all kinds of
Kwanzaa, Ramadan,
We've got some great recipes.
winter solstice.
Right.
Yep.
I have a great solstice recipe actually that I'll share.
Great.
But it might be for grog.
Oh.
Right. So
Okay.
you never know
Okay.
what'll happen. All right, you guys. So enough about our recipes. Let's say hi to everybody. Oh my goodness.
We have Fran from.
It's not too cold there. It's getting chilly now here. California, we call this our winter. It's like 60 degrees today.
Yeah, it is.
We're kind of chilly. We got some really great feedback from you guys last week, and I wanted to share a couple of things with you. Later on, after we do these broadcasts, we go ahead and we post them up on our YouTube channel, our Bead Shop One. And so you can find all of our post broadcasts up there as well. And we've gotten a lot of great questions and a lot of great feedback. So periodically through the broadcast, if you have questions, one of the points was that you guys couldn't really hear what the question was, or you couldn't read. So Grace, or read it fast enough. So Grace is going to holler out if there's particular questions or things that you want answered. Grace is going to holler them out. Then I'm going to repeat them out to you guys so you know the question that's being asked. That may be helpful. Also, we had another question about the sound. We're kind of working on some sound solutions to make our audio quality a little bit better for you. So if you need something repeated and we're live, or you want clarification, just type it in and Gracie will shout that out. Because the cool thing about this is that it's interactive between us and you guys. There was also a question that I wanted to address while more people are kind of jumping on before we get into the pearl knotting and the wire wrapping today. Number one, you can find all of these products and projects on our website, beadshopdotcom. All lowercase, all one word, beadshop.com. Easy to find. We also put together kind of a fun little shopping area for you guys to make it easy. I know that people have been asking, well, Kate, you showed this wire, you showed this, or Janice, you showed those pearls. How do I find them, right? So what Gracie did was she whipped up a cool little button that's on our homepage this morning. So if you go to our homepage at beadshop.com, there's a little button that says Facebook Live. What did you say, Gracie? Facebook Live products, right? And you click on that button, and it's going to whisk you away to a landing page, a dedicated landing page. And much of the stuff that we're using today in today's broadcast is going to be on that landing page, as well as links to some of the different handouts. Namely, it's kind of like your magnum opus, right? It's this pearl knotting like a pro handout.
Right.
So if you got our newsletter that we sent out this morning, it was kind of all about this Facebook Live, and it had links to the handouts and some of the wire wrapping handouts and videos that I'm going to share with you. But if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you guys, our newsletter subscribers get so much special content, right?
And deals, lots of deals.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times it's, all of us, we write that newsletter right out to our newsletter subscribers, so it's kind of fun. We put kind of crazy cool stuff in there.
So
Question, Gracie?
We've got Texas, Albuquerque, Iowa, Brooklyn.
Oh my gosh.
Denmark, Zurich.
Is that Gita? Wow. Is that our Gita?
Yeah, Gita.
Hi, Gita.
Hi.
We're so stoked that you got your order in.
And we've got Fresno. Your mom.
Fresno, my mom. Hi, Ma.
Yeah.
I was all, that's right. That's right. Hi, Ma. It's good to see you.
She says hi to both of you.
Oh, great. Good,
Hi, how are you?
My mama. There she is. Hopefully it's a little warmer in Fresno than it is here. And we had one other question that I wanted to just address before, as I said, before we get into this pearl knotting, is several of you posted on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel about threads that you can wear in the shower or swimming. I know that we mentioned that a little bit last week, and people are like, threads for getting wet, how do I do that? So Janice, talk a little bit about, you've had a lot of, we got this question all the time over the counter at our store.
Yes, years and years of, can I get it wet? Can I shower in it? And the answer is yes and no.
Yeah, a qualified yes.
Right. So most thread will stretch over time. It's just like if you were to put a sweater in the washing machine, it says it's washable, but then it says, line dry, and how it will, once you hang it up on a hanger and it's wet, it will get droopy.
Right, kind of stretch
The
down.
same thing will happen with knots and thread, where it will start to droop and hang. Some threads perform better than others. So nylon is better in terms of holding up getting wet. You don't want to get leather wet, for instance.
Yeah,
So,
leather starts to get kind of goopy.
use your common sense. Would you? I hope. Would you wear your leather shoes in the ocean?
Probably
Yes or
not.
no? Okay. So if you're not going to shower in your leather shoes, don't shower in jewelry that has
Right.
leather, because it's just not going to do well with water. And it's especially an issue when we are making all these wrap bracelets and they're for our wrists and we're washing our hands multiple times a day. It's going to disintegrate faster, not like right away immediately, but keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind,
And
yeah.
then thread itself, it's always better not to get it wet. Silk, I would suggest not to get wet, but if you really feel like, especially with men's jewelry now, and so many men don't ever take that that
Their
bracelet
bracelet off,
off, or
right.
the necklace. If you can, use a cotton cord, which we have,
Yeah, we have a great
instead
selection
of
of cotton
leather,
cord.
and then use tough cord is one that will hold up a lot, and so will Ceylon. They're both nylon.
Yeah, nylon
cords.
threads. And the thing is also a little bit of preventative care, I think, with your jewelry if you're wearing it and getting it wet. Check it, check it often. Check, that things aren't wearing down, or that things, your things aren't overly stretching. And if you keep an eye on your jewelry, then, you won't be surprised, if one day it falls off, you can see, oh, maybe that is fraying there a little bit. Maybe I should restring it. And restringing, we restring all the time. It's just part of the life of a piece of jewelry. So the heavier wear it gets, the more wear it gets, the more it gets wet, the more it's worn in the ocean or surfing or mountain climbing or whatever, the faster it's going to wear. But that being said, there's a lot of money to be made in jewelry repair.
There is, and I think there's more damage done, for instance, with leather, where you make a button loop, but you don't make it large enough for the button, and
so it's
it stresses the leather. That happens more often than damage from water, I think.
So hopefully that helps a little bit, you guys, to address that. But if you have any other questions like that and you want to have them answered, just post them on our Facebook page, or you can send them over. We'll put our emails out a little bit later, but it's Kate@beadshop.com, Janice@beadshop.com. Super easy. But send them out. We'll be glad to answer them. But now I think it's time, Janice. This pearl knotting technique, how long have you been knotting pearls?
I started about 35 years ago, 35, 40 years ago.
So you were 2 when we started.
Very close.
It's true.
And I went to 5 different pearl knotting artists and asked them to teach me how to do it. And I couldn't learn. I couldn't figure it out. Everyone did it a different way. And then I went to my friend Rita, who said, hey, this is how it's done. And she taught me the method that we sometimes, if you've ever, been through, like in San Francisco, there's a Chinatown. And when I was younger, we'd walk through and we'd, buy trinkets and different things and go to the Chinese New Year parade. And you would see these women, especially, sitting there slinging the pearls,
knotting them around.
And when Rita finally taught me, I said, that's what she's teaching me. She's teaching me that very basic method that doesn't use any tools. That I've been teaching now. In fact, it was the first class I ever taught,
Yeah.
in 1982.
Yeah.
Was
at the
at
bead
the
shop.
very old little bead shop.
Bead shop in Palo
Yeah.
Alto on
Right.
Hamilton Avenue. Yeah.
Right, and that was the first class. As I said,
Yeah.
I can teach people to do this.
Yeah.
I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Someone
And
taught me.
You've
so.
taught me how to pearl knot. You've taught literally, I would say, 10,000 people. I don't know,
Yeah.
thousands.
A lot of
people.
A lot of
If
people.
we tallied it up over the
Well,
years.
if you figure they then taught people, then maybe there's
Yeah,
10,000
maybe.
people out there.
Maybe.
Hi, all of you.
all those pearl knotters. So you mentioned that you don't use tools, which is pretty cool.
No
So
tweezer, no knotting gizmo. That's $100. You just use your hands.
your hands. So
Yeah.
what thread are we going to be? Let's talk about, you guys, and this is something I just wanted to throw in here. Remember from last week, we kind of did this wheel of the thread, choosing your thread and how to do it. You can maybe remember how all of these factors kind of come into play. What we're going to talk about now is, we've talked about our design and performance. We know that our design wants to be knotted. We know that these bead holes for these freshwater pearls are pretty small. So it comes in picking our thread. And we love, there's so many things you could knot on, but we're going to knot with these freshwater pearls on micro Ceylon today.
Right. Again, it's a nylon thread. We used to use silk a lot. It's gotten much harder to source now, and it's very expensive. And this thread is really great. So,
and I wanted to mention the handout. This is our classic bead shop handout that we used in our brick and mortar store back in the day. So this was written before we started using a lot of Ceylon. So you'll see these instructions written with silk. Is that correct?
well, some of it is silk. But we're going to update it, but whatever thread you choose, the technique is fine.
Is the same.
Yeah. So
across the board.
So you want to
Would
find.
you pass me, before you get started, would you pass me a needle?
Sure.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start first, not with the beginner, the first bead, but I'm going to just show you the technique. So in the method, Gracie, do you want me to bring this
I
closer?
can
Okay.
see.
So in the method that's used traditionally for pearl knotting, they would pre-string pearls onto a threaded needle and thread, and then you bring one pearl up at a time. So I'm going to just show you the method, and then I'm going to go back and we're going to start with how do I add the end tip and then the first pearl. But it's a very simple method, and so you start in your non-dominant hand, and this is all in the handout, and you want to have a nice wide palm. You don't want to be scrunched up like this, because then it gets harder to do. So you're going to pinch with your two fingers. You're going to wrap it around your hand. You're going to bring your dominant hand up close. And I call this tap, tap, tap. And I once had a student who said, well, am I tapping enough times? I don't really know. And I said, the only reason I'm saying tap, tap is so that you know your hand is close enough to the pearl.
Right.
So if you're down here, you're too far away.
Oh.
The tapping doesn't help you complete the knot
I
at all.
don't know if I ever knew that.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
It's not for any purpose other than to remind you that your hand needs to be up here. So I'm pinching, as you can see, I'm pinching that pearl. I can let go with this hand, and I can answer the phone. I could
Take a drink of
diaper
your
a
coffee,
baby,
right.
whatever, drink a cup of coffee. So this is the first step. You want to pinch it, then you want to tap or bring this hand up close enough. Then what you do is you lift your thumb, and then you push these pearls under and through. And what do you have now is you have
that knot is right there.
The knot's right there. You have this triangle, right? That's where the open palm comes in. Then I'm going to just refer to as my right thumb. I'm taking my right thumb, and I'm going to put it right. Did you see where that knot is?
The knot's right on top of the
So I
bead
want to
hole.
put these two fingers on either side, so it's like a scissors. They grab the pearl. Then I put my thumb on top. I let go with my left hand. Then I come over here, continuing to keep the pressure on the whole time, and I pull it in. And last but not least, this is where it's so critical. You want to separate your threads and you tighten the knot. So what I don't want you to do out there is I don't want you to, oh, my knot's kind of far away, let me push it up with my thumb. No. Separate your threads. That's one of the reasons we do 2 strands, is that you can not only stretch your thread, but then you tighten down the knot.
Tighten that knot
so
down.
let me do that again.
One of the things I notice.
I'm bringing another pearl up. I'm sorry, Kate.
No, go ahead.
What
I'm
do you
sorry.
notice?
When you have your thumb on that knot, you want it to be firmly on the knot, but you don't want to push down on the knot so much that your thread isn't going to slide, right?
Right. Well, oftentimes when you just start out, so I'm just doing a few, and you can watch as I. You want to have pressure, but what happens often when you're first doing this, your hands get sweaty.
Yeah.
And so you're pushing, and you're nervous, and so you do want to keep the pressure on. But what I always say is praying doesn't help. So if you go, oh, please keep the knot there, that's not going to help. Prayer's not going to help. So I'm pinching. So let me show that again. So it's my thumb, my pearls are back here. I'm wrapping around the front, and it's the actual pushing it under that is then creating the knot. There's the knot.
And it's the tension. You're keeping that tension.
With my left hand. And then with my right hand, I'm putting I have 2 scissor fingers. And notice, I want to show Gracie if I can show this. If I put my fingers under the pearl, look what happens. Do you see how it creates that space? You don't want to create that space. You want to hold the side of the pearls. Can you see that? Let me see. Can you see that?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I can see
side,
it. That looks great.
and then your thumb, the fat part of your thumb is right on top. You let go with your left hand, and then you pull it in. And even if your knot is a little far away, look at that one. So I'm going to see if I can pull that in. There you go. Now that's not even a good knot, right?
But watch what happens when you split your threads.
Nothing.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Well, I'm going to have to loosen this one and get it back in. There we go. So I'll show that on next time, what to do to get rid of that, okay? But normally you should be able to pull it in, okay? So this time I couldn't. But let's start with how do you start, okay?
Yeah,
So I'm going to put this aside.
So as you can see, while Janice was just chatting, I've started to just knot a little thread strand here. One of the things for starting is, and if you'll notice with Janice with her white pearls, she used a nice kind of festive red color. I have these gray pearls here, and I'm using this kind of a blue-gray micro Ceylon. And so the thread is really an enhancement to not only if you're using pearls, but if you're using semi-precious beads. I think almost your thread choice has as much to do with your bead choice, the design, as the beads do.
Absolutely.
So having a nice rainbow of colors to choose from. And so it's nice. It's not a white,
pretty.
it's not glaring, I've knot a lot on black. I use black a lot.
Yeah.
When I knot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's
sorry.
the
Sorry.
light.
Sorry.
That's all. No problem.
Totally. How are we doing with questions? Any questions so far? What do you guys think?
Everyone's
Doable?
loving it.
You know, one of the
Darlene says
things
she loves it.
when you're learning this is I always would tell my students, because I would also teach this method that Janice taught me. I would tell my students, it's only a strand of beads, you guys, right? We're going to show you how to knot them. We're going to show you how to unknot. We're also going to show you how to cut them apart. The cool thing about these pearls is they're the ultimate and recyclable.
Right.
So who cares? If a knot is out of place, you're just going to cut it up and redo it. So it's not brain surgery.
Krista.
So when I first...
sorry. May I interrupt?
Yeah.
Sure.
Krista said that she uses this technique for mollas too.
Oh,
yes.
so Krista, you use
Yes,
this technique for
yes.
mullahs as well. That's great.
It's the same adorable
Same
knot.
knotting. Yeah.
So the first strand of pearls I ever knotted were white pearls with white thread, and I could not understand when I finished. I had gray knots. What's going on? I used white thread. My hands got so sweaty and nervous and dirty that by touching the thread so much, by the end the thread was gray.
Yeah.
So it's important. Don't put lotion on.
Clean hands.
Clean hands. If you stop, do something, come back, wash your hands again. But do expect the first few times. That's why black thread is great. It's not going to show.
No, it's
So,
really true.
so why don't we show how to add the end tip?
Okay. How much thread do you cut? Let's say that we have a 16-inch necklace that we're making, or an 18-inch necklace. Typically, how much thread would you cut?
You want to cut, so lengthwise, you want to cut about 2.5 to 3 times. Plus, you have to double it over. So for a 16-inch necklace, I would say probably 4 yards would be enough.
So one of the things that I did just to, when I was laying these out, I got my seal on, and you know, I'm not a super big measurer, so I took my seal on and I lay my beads out in front of me. And if this is the strand, it's like a 16-inch strand, I'll go 1, 2, 3-ish, and then I'll double it over like that. And that's about
2.5
to 3.
I always cut too much.
I do too, but that's a good kind of, and the longer your strand is, like if I'm doing 2 of these strands, I really might have done 2.5, 2.5, and then doubled it over. But that's a good rule of thumb.
And
I
the
think.
beauty of this method is that you can have thread as long as you want, but and the beads you can pre-string them, but they're down at the other end. The only thing you'll have to wrap is when your beads get too long, your pearls or whatever they are get too long, then you have to wrap them on a card.
That's how I did. This is actually one, I'll show you while Janice is prepping this, you guys. This is one long continuous 10-foot strand of pearls that I did that with. It's 10 feet all knotted. That's kind of my magnum opus of pearl knotting.
Well, what I'd like to do on a later show is share how do you add a thread to knotting,
that would be great.
To pearl knotting,
Because
there is a trick.
yeah, and it's handy,
doable.
especially sometimes your pearls, I remember stringing this, your thread starts to fray a little bit, and you need to change out with fresh thread.
So last week we talked about making the knot that sits in the end tip, and we talked last week about the clamshell end tip, which is the, let's see if I've got one here that's not connected.
Christine is watching from 2:54 a.m. in Taiwan right now.
Oh,
Hi, Christine.
Christine.
Oh, thanks for staying up late with us.
So last week we showed how to do a knot into this kind of clamshell, and then this is called an end tip. And what I like about this is that it's traditional, and in all of the years I had repaired jewelry that came in over the counter at the bead shop, this never broke. Of every part of the necklace that needed fixing, this never wore out.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just a workhorse.
Yeah.
So I love this, and the way it works is the knot is going to sit right inside that little tiny cup, and then the hand, the arm is going to, then we're going to fold that in so it sits inside the cup, and then that connects to the end right there.
clasp.
Yeah. So, and you do the same thing on the other side, but it's just, it has not been improved in probably 75 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need any improvement.
No, end tips are great.
Right. So with the way we're going to start, and I'm working with the red, last week we taught about making a knot that, so we have to make a knot that's going to sit inside that end tip, and instead of doing, you know, we do a knot and then, oh, tie that tight, and then another knot on top. We just go through the same knot again, and what it does is it gives us a nice juicy knot that's not going to separate, and work its way through the end tip. If you buy or you have some end tips that have extra large holes and you test this and it pulls through, then you want to cut this off and then go back, and instead of going through it twice, you would go through it 3 times. But that should work. Now I'm going to...
Question?
There's 2 questions.
Yeah.
The first question Linda asks is, what kind of needle do you use?
Oh, great question. So
Yeah.
Linda's asking what kind of needle that we're using.
I'm using the
gonna put one right here.
flexible eye needle. I like them because you can use thread of various sizes, but they're thin enough to, I've got to pick this up closer, but they're thin enough to go, so here we go, there. So I'm going to put it on the needle so that the hook, I'm going up through the cup this way, and I'm going to fit it on and slide it all the way down.
And then what was the second question, Grace?
So, Drea has a question.
Oh, hi, Drea.
She said, when I learned to do pearl knots many moons ago, it was on silk, and I stretched my silk overnight prior to begin the project. Do you need to do that with Ceylon?
No, so Drea's question was about stretching your silk before you use it. And silk, since it is a natural fiber, does have a tendency to stretch. But the way this method that Janice is using, where you separate your threads and pull them, that is stretching. As you're stringing, you're stretching your thread out as well.
Right.
With the tin cup or the float necklace that we've got there, the stretching, I find the stretching is a little more important with this kind of thread, because you're not able to separate your threads and tamp that knot down. We do this slightly differently, so you don't get that stretching technique. So pre-stretching this nylon with, or silk with needle thread, might be a little more important.
Right. But I've never spent any time pre-stretching with this method. So, Drea, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, so we've got the end tip on now, and my little signature has always been putting a bead next to the end tip, or a bead cap, so that it doesn't look so much like, what do I want to say? So it doesn't look so functional.
Yeah, like a piece of hardware. It looks like it's part of the design.
This is a really one of my favorite pieces. I haven't restrung this. I need to in like, I don't know, 15 years maybe. But I put a bead right next to the, can you see that? Right next to the end tip. So you don't really notice the end tip. Do you have one where the end tip is straight next to?
Like this. See this right here? Even though I used a dark one, and see, I have some little beads that are kind of leading up to it. So visually it kind of has that same idea that I've used small little beads that are going up to the clasp. But like with this pearl necklace here, I used the clamshell end tip there.
Right.
And you can see there's no little transition.
So I like, that's a good word. I like to have a transition bead. So I don't know why I'm having trouble this morning threading.
Oh, you're
Drea says
welcome.
thanks.
You're welcome, Drea.
Okay, so I'm going to put on just like a little gold bead.
I think that was a 3mm gold filled bead.
Right, just a little bead.
But you could use.
And I'm going to move this thread out of the way so I don't. And then I'm going to put on a pearl. And so another thing to remember is you don't want to put a knot between your end tip and your first bead.
Because it gives it a weird little elbow. Like it's a weird little joint.
It does that, and then it also defeats the point of protecting the thread inside the end tip. You want to the single most critical place on a necklace is where the clasp is, because the thread is wearing back and forth, and then the other place. And if anyone out there has ever broken a necklace that has a pendant on it, have you ever noticed there's your pendant down here, right? Have you ever noticed that this is where your necklace breaks?
Right next to the metal.
Right. Or where it's making a turn.
Right.
And also up here by the clasp. So the point of the end tip is it's protecting your thread. if you put a knot right here, what are you doing? You're exposing your thread and more of it to the end tip. So you don't want to. You want to put on a bead so that the first thing between the end tip is a bead. So the thread is
There's
hidden
no air.
inside. Right.
No place for the thread to rub.
That's right. No place, and it's hidden. So let me move this. Let's get that out of the way. Right.
Move that back.
So this is the beginning is the hardest. So you see now in terms of knotting. So you see you've got your little knot in there. Eventually I would put a drop of glue on it, the GS Hypo Tube glue, and then I let that dry and then come in with really fine, like the Zuron thread scissors, or really fine flush cutters, and I would cut that. And even if you have a little bit of a crew cut left of your thread, it's going to eventually shrink. The oils from your body, everything, and in a week or so you won't even know you have little tiny ends. So now we have on our first pearl, and I will eventually pre-string a bunch of a lot of the pearls, so it's easy to just slide them up, and that's one of the reasons I call it the plane train boat method,
Right.
because you can pre-string and take your whole project with you. But let's go through, and I'm going to demo now how to knot. So I'm pinching, I'm wrapping again, pinching again, then I'm tapping,
tap,
right?
tap, tap, so you know where your
I'm
finger is.
pushing it through, and this first one is the hardest because everyone's going to find it wants to pop back through. So I'm just holding it for a second, putting my thumb on top, fingers on the side, and I'm going to turn this around so you can see it. So my fingers are on the side. I'm going to let go with the thread, then I'm going to take this end and I'm going to pull it in. And I don't let the pressure up. I keep the pressure on, then I separate the thread, and voila, you have a knot. So is there anything you want to talk about, Kate, while I string on a few beads?
So you can see, and Grace, you can kind of give a big shot here of this. I'm still working on this piece, and see, here's my pre-strung. So take a look what I do. I just slide that down, and I also give, when I slide my pearl down to the knot, I give it a little tug to make sure that you don't have a little bubble of thread, that your thread is even.
Good idea.
Because sometimes if my threads aren't even like this, and then I go ahead and I pull my pearl down like this, it gives me like a little extra bubble here. So I want to make sure that my threads are even, and I do that by kind of pulling it this way. Then I wrap, just as Janice has shown you. I'm going to do this in fast time. Flip that through, get my scissor fingers, get my thumb, and pull it. And then I just come in automatically and do that. So as I'm doing this, you can see I can knot
You have your own little
these
method.
pearls
Yeah.
as fast as I can,
Yeah.
because knots, man, fast. There
So
we
will
go.
you show them? Do you have pearls on the end?
So I have it over here on
Right.
the end, over here. So I'll just, and it's just the same thing that you do, pull that thread down and, bring that around, flip that, and so my tapping finger is over here.
Right. Your
so
method's
I pull
a little
that,
different.
I pull that through, but then you can see there's my knot, just like Janice's knot. I get those scissor fingers in, get my thumb on top, drop my hands out, and pull it down. And then I just automatically tighten that way.
Okay.
Naughty professors.
Yeah, naughty
Naughty
professors. That's
professors.
us.
Okay, so we'll show a few more knots.
Show a few more knots, and,
And
then
then-
I'm going to jump in with the wire wrap closure.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So
Trying to read that. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got my second pearl that I slid up from the where the needle is. I pinch underneath. I wrap. So let me just stop for a second and go. Sometimes people want to wrap this way and just go from this side, but you have to go around so
Catch
that
that
you
thread.
have something you can go under. So let's show this again. So I'm pinching, I'm wrapping around, I'm lifting my thumb up, I'm pushing this underneath, And then in the handout it says fingers towards the floor. If your fingers are towards the floor, you then have that triangle. And it also allows gravity to pull the pearls down. And I put my thumb on top. Oh, you can't. Okay, can you see? I'll go like that. So let's go back a second. There it is. And I have equal pressure on both hands, so the knot's not moving. And don't be frustrated too much if this keeps popping out and you have to keep doing it. You just can go back and start again. So thumb on top, fingers on the side.
Oh, am I lifting up your head? Yes.
Fingers on the side. So I'll go like that. There's the knot. I'm holding my pearl with 2 fingers, and I put my thumb down, and then I'm going to pull it in evenly and consistently. And I separate the threads. I do a bit more pulling than you do.
Well, I'm pulling pretty tight. I give it a couple of bounces,
Okay.
like this.
So I'm going to show what happens when someone goes, holy moly, I pulled so hard I cut one of the threads.
Okay.
Right.
That's a good one.
Okay. Oh, holy moly.
Oh, no.
I pulled so hard I cut one of the threads.
Oh, Janice.
Oh, no. What do you do? Oh,
You
no.
weep. I go,
See,
would say, I'd go in the corner and weep by the seed beads.
No,
That's
don't
what I would do.
worry about it. All you're going to do is take the end that was cut, pull it down a little further, which means you sort of have to slide your beads and needle to a new place. But look at this. I'm bringing down my next pearl.
This is a great trick.
Bringing down my next pearl,
Can you lay
right?
it down on the...
Sorry.
That's okay.
This is the money shot.
Right here.
Okay. This is worth
Everything
worth an
they're
hour.
paying.
This is worth an hour of FaceTime.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
so let me pull that up again. So that's the thread. You're working really hard and you cut it, right? Oh no, what do I do?
And so you're not doing any knotting here at all. You're just sliding that bead down.
I slid the cut end down. I put the next pearl I want to put on, and then I just go and I knot the next one. You really need sharp flush cutters, and then I'm going to do my next knot.
So that knot just holds everything in place.
Yeah,
It's like it never happened.
Yeah, and then you just cut those excess threads off, and you'd never knew it happened.
Would you add a little bit of glue to the broken knot, to the knot where it broke? Or would you just cut it?
I would just don't cut the knot.
Right.
If you really, really, really want to put a little glue, put a tiny bit.
Gracie, question?
So Christine's wondering how you string the pearls with double thread. I'm wondering if she means... if she knows that there's a needle on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, Christine,
Oh,
just to
good
back
question.
up, just so you know. Yeah, so what we did was when we cut our lengths of thread, we thread it right through our collapsible eye needle, brought it all the way back down, and then it's knotted just like this. So
Right.
like you would knot like a doubled sewing thread or something like that, right?
So the needle goes at the halfway point, and then the 2 tails are where you put the knot in, and then the end tip. So it looks,
So it's one long double
it's
strand.
one long, yeah. That's how
Both
we
threads
got.
are
That's how
captured.
we got it double. So there's. While you're showing wire wrapping, I will cut this, and I'll show people, everyone out there, that you really don't see it. In fact, I'm going to cut it right now.
Do it.
So I have to just.
And
then
it's
I'm gonna
a
get
flexible eye needle.
Yeah.
It is
the
a flexible,
eye.
yeah.
So
You
it's
could
this
also
needle
use
right
a
there.
collapsible eye needle. These threads are a little too heavy for seed bead needles. The eye of the seed bead needles doesn't really fit. So
Doesn't
let me
quite, yeah.
just, I have to, I don't want to.
Another question.
Yeah.
Linda's asking about this handout and where she can find it.
Oh, great question, Linda. So Linda wants to know where she can find this pearl knotting handout. So I have it in a couple of places on the website. Pardon me. Number one, if you go to our projects page and you go to our little index shop that says Skill Builders, you drill down in there and there's another little index shop that says Class Handouts. That has a full listing of some of our class handouts from our most popular classes back in the day when beadshopdotcom was a brick and mortar store. So you can find the pearl knotting, the Tricks to Pearl Knotting handout there. You can also, on the front page of our website on beadshop.com, you can click the little button that says Facebook shopping. You'll see it. It's right there on the front page. Facebook
But
Live
it's about halfway
products.
down.
Yeah,
It's
about
not
halfway
right
down.
at the top. Yeah.
And you'll click right on that, and it'll take you to a landing page. And right in the beginning, I list a link for this pearl knotting handout, my looped wire handout, and our briolette wrapped video.
And how much is the handout?
It is free.
Say that again.
Free.
Like
Free.
all of our
F-R-E-E.
handouts, right? All of
Yes.
our handouts are free.
That's right.
Right.
Gita
just
just
want you to
posted link.
Thank you, Gita, for posting those links. We can always count on you. So while Janice is playing around with her thread, so some of you guys know this. This has kind of been an ongoing battle. You know, I've known Janice since 1992 when I first started at the bead shop when we were in Palo Alto. And we have had kind of this ongoing thread versus wire battle. So we've talked about thread. Now we're going to talk about the real backbone of jewelry making, which is wire.
I think they go hand in hand.
They do. They do.
With thread coming first and wire supporting it. Don't show.
Don't spit. I won't spit. All right. Well, we all know. We all know. Right, you guys? So let me show you a couple of finished projects here. I'm going to slide on over. Oh, look, the sun's coming out. I bet our lighting is a little bit better, huh, Grace?
Definitely.
We do want to make sure we leave enough time to show them how to put the end tip on
Yeah,
the other end.
we're good,
So,
I think.
yeah, okay.
So far, so good. Thank you. This one won't run long. You never
Okay.
know. You never know what's going to happen here live. So you guys, I've done these little wire wrapped pieces, as little earrings that kind of go nicely with what Janice is working on. And I've also, the clasp that we were going to use on this piece, I love a toggle. And from last week or some other weeks when we were talking about different jewelry designs, you also can wear your clasp in the front. And so embellishing this little toggle with our charm, this is called Sweet Beach, this leaf charm, embellishing it with a little charm and some little wire wrapped components, I think really make this clasp go from kind of classic and simple to something that you might want to show off in front of your necklace. So I want to show you two ways of doing this. So I'm going to pass those over there. We're going to start with just a head pin, just like that, okay? And order down in the fulfillment office. Our staff is bustling around because you guys did so much great shopping over the holiday weekend, so we're filling orders like crazy.
Amazing.
And Facebook Living all at the same time. So this is a 24 gauge head pin, you guys, and this 24 gauge head pin, I put this pearl on. Now this is a chain nose plier, and I'm going to use that flat chain nose to grip right at the top. And right at the top of the bead hole. Now, the plier here, the tip of the plier, I'm going to push the wire over the top to form an angle. And I push it over the plier, and it leaves me a little bit of a space. That's about a 1/16 of an inch right there. Now that 1/16 of an inch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my wire back around and wrap it. That's where my wire wraps are going to go. So I'm going to come in with my round nose, and I hold my round nose plier like a pair of scissors, like this, one head on top of the other. And I bring with my non-dominant hand, I'm holding all of this with my right hand, with my non-dominant, I'm bringing it up and over the top of the round plier, and that round plier is making my wire nice and round. Now I'm going to switch the tip of my tool from the top to the bottom. And I'm going to slide my wire underneath to complete that loop. Can you see how there's a loop right there? Now I want that loop to be centered over the wire that's coming out of the pearl, so I might just have to loop it over just a little, but I'll lay that right down there. That's what you need before you start to wire wrap, okay? Now to hold that loop steady, I can come in, grip it so it doesn't move with my flat nose plier. And I can use a bent chain, or I can use my fingers. And I just make one wrap below the other, starting tight. Right, let me move this so you guys can see this. So my first wrap starts right at the bottom of that loop. Can you see that, Grace? And then I'm going to come in. I'm actually going to do this with my fingers, maybe. It'll be easier for me to handle. I bring that wire around 180 degrees at a time. One wire wrap below the other, just like so. And it leaves me with 3 tight little wraps. Now I'm going to come in with my wire cutter, and this is the thing, you guys, that I really want you to see. This side of the cutter, that flat side with the pointed tips, I'm going to place it right next to my wire wraps, right? And then I'm just gonna, when I think it's tight enough, I'm gonna push it in so it's even tighter. And then I'm gonna clip, I'm gonna clip that little extra bit away, pardon me. And you can see how I have just the tiniest little tail of wire there. That's when I use my chain nose plier, or my bent chain nose, to come in like a tiny little pair of fingers and push that down.
So that orange tool was Xuron, right?
Yeah, that's the Xuron
Abigail
cutter.
from Xuron says hello.
Hi, Abby. How are you? They are so great. We love our Xuron tools. Made in the U.S. in Maine. We love our Xuron people. The quality of those cutters and tools are so awesome. We're going to be adding more to our product mix for next year. I'm going to do this one more time so it's fast and easy so you guys know. Bend at a right angle. I'm going to do this almost in real time, but you guys can use the rewind feature on this video to get it again and again. Close it up, heads one on top of the other, bring that wire up and over the tool, drop it to the bottom jaw of the plier, pull that wire underneath the tool, in front or behind the bead, it doesn't really matter. And then if the bead isn't centered or the loop isn't centered, I'm going to roll it just a hair to center it. Now I'm going to go ahead and wire wrap that. I'm doing it upside down here, so there we go. One little wrap. See, you can also leave your round nose plier in the loop rather than gripping it with your flat. But remember, you guys, if you're confused about what, it's a question I get a lot is, well, Kate, what tool do I use for what? Take a look at the heads of your pliers. You know, a flat chain nose plier like this is for gripping, right? The pliers grip that wire. A round nose plier is for looping. These round loops make that, or the round heads rather, make those round loops. So if you're unsure about what your pliers do, take a look at the heads and the shape will dictate. Come in, really push it in there, clip, and tuck away. Now to attach these to with these ear wires, I want to show you, this is my little trick. If I would just, with my leaves, did I not bring an extra leaf? I can't believe it. Do you have your leaves over there?
No, but
I'll just take this off, would you?
Oh, Drea says she uses the open space on her crimp tool to push that tail down.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Using a crimping plier to kind of push that around is great. It kind of curves it in. I thought I had an extra sweet beech leaf sitting around here. Well, it's a beauty of live. So let me show you this with this finished one. See how the loop of the sweet beech charm, how it's facing forward? And if I were, you got it, Janice? I can just take this one off. Okay. No.
I have my beading glasses on.
Oh,
I
no,
can't.
thanks. I appreciate it. So see, if I were to just put this ear wire right on the clasp like so, it wouldn't have as much, or right on the pendant, it wouldn't have as much movement. See how I've added a little jump ring? But if I use a jump ring, I'm going to open this up. If I added a jump ring to my ear wire and this charm, see how the charm is facing, it's facing the wrong way, it's facing sideways. Can you guys see that? So what I do is, I'm not going to let any ear wire tell me what way my charm's going to go. What I do is I come in with my chain nose plier, I grip that ear wire firmly, the loop on it, and I turn it. See that?
Yay, great little trick.
Now everything is facing forward. And so I put my jump ring on, I put my leaf, sorry my fingers are in the way, let me hold it that way. I put my ear wire, let me make sure I'm doing this in the right order. I put my pearl charm, and I put my sweet beech leaf. And now I'm going to close it all up. One bent nose, one straight chain nose always works well for closing those jump rings. Wiggle it back and forth to push it in. And then you can see how you've got that. Everything is facing in the right direction. Now I want to show you one last little trick and then I'll pop it back to Janice. This little briolette, and we have a really comprehensive video on our YouTube channel and also in that link on that Facebook Live page link that talks about briolette wrapping. But I wanted to just show you how similar that technique is. So here's a nice briolette, a nice garnet briolette. I'm using 26 gauge wire to go through it, and I really want my wire to have some movement to it. If it doesn't and my wire is tight, I'm going to crack this precious briolette, so I want to make sure there's movement. I usually use 26 gauge with briolettes. Now, watch what I do here. I'm just going to come in, I'm going to make a little X. I'll get my fingers out of the way so you guys can see that. A little X with my wire over the top of the briolette. Now I come in and I squeeze that X to bring my wires up. Now you guys, it's just the same as wire wrapping this bead here. I bend at a right angle. I'm just going to ignore this wire. Can you see it okay? I'm going to bend, get my round nose, up and over, down and under. Now, instead of wire wrapping, and I also want to center this, center it, center it. Now, instead of wire wrapping just one little neck, I'm going to come in and grab both that loop and the straight wire, and I'm going to wrap from the bottom of the loop to the top of that briolette. You see that? One little loop after the other.
Thank you, Gita. She just posted
Bam.
the link to it.
Gita, what would we do without you? I'm going to bend this down, and I'll show you. I'll just line it up, and then I'll come in, I'll clip that away, and that away with my trusties are on, and push that in. Now, the way I've connected it onto this clasp is just the same way as I did with that earring. I used a nice jump ring, and I attached this component, and this component, and it's ready to go. Okay? All right. And that's how simple it is. Wire, you know, a simple little spool of our craft wire, some of our head pins, and you are good to go. You could also embellish your earring even more with some of these briolettes. You can also add those same little pieces to a piece of chain if you wanted. You know, use your creativity and imagination. We just give you the tools. You supply some cool design ideas. All right, Janice, you ready to show them how to do that?
I am.
Let me move this out of the way.
So, We've just made, I just knotted enough really to make a bracelet.
Sorry. Last question was what size wire was that?
Oh, great question. I used 24 gauge for this head pin, and I used 26 gauge for this wire wrap.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So one of the things that happens often is that you've done your knotting and you see your beads, so what we call look a little wrinkled. That will go away with time, but you can rub them like on a towel or a wool skirt or a sweater or something. I don't know why those work best, but something, and then
Something with a little nap to them.
yeah, and
oh, look at that.
they'll
I don't know if I knew that.
yeah, they unwrinkle. They unwrinkle.
You're so smart.
Oh, thank
like
you,
that.
Kate. Am I smart about thread being the backbone of stringing?
I will reserve judgment
Okay. Okay.
that the wire,
Why doesn't everyone out there vote?
right,
Why
thread or
don't
wire,
you tell us? Thread or wire? Thread or wire?
thread or wire.
And don't kiss up to her because she started Facebook Live with us.
Well,
Be true to yourselves, everybody.
and know that wire is
Blah blah.
the backbone.
Okay. So I want to show you that we put a little glue on this. This was our first knot, and I'm just going to then let that dry. Okay, and then there's someone out there who's putting the top back on that glue, but it's not me.
Oh,
right
you can
now.
hand it to me.
Okay, I will. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
so
no
now,
worries. Or it can just-
now I'm putting the end tip on for the other side, and this way it goes in the opposite direction. So last time we strung this way. This time we're going to strung from the bottom. And actually, if you look at it, let me stop for just a second. It looks like a little umbrella, doesn't it?
It does.
So my analogy is that when you start out, if you ever saw the movie Singing in the Rain, you know how
Right.
Gene Kelly twirls the umbrellas on the ground? That's what we did at the beginning. We thought about the twirling umbrellas on the ground. Now it's raining, and we want to go up through the bottom
Underneath the
just
umbrella.
like an umbrella. Yes. So I'm going to put that on.
We've got 2 for thread, 2 for wire so far.
Oh,
2 for thread and
2 for wire.
Oh wait, 3 for thread.
Oh,
Keep voting, everybody. Okay?
I guess.
And I don't know that we're going to need a recount. I think this is good.
really?
Now we got 4 for thread.
Oh, 4 for three. Oh, come on.
You know what? I forgot to put the little bead on.
A bead on the end.
I got so excited
I
about
know.
the vote. Okay, so remember,
Thread.
everyone.
Sorry, another one.
All right.
Everyone, remember.
Another thread right now.
Vote often.
You know what? I'm
and
not
early.
and often. I'm not speaking to you for the rest of this broadcast. We're done here.
Okay,
Thread,
so
another one. Oh God.
before you put your end tip on, make sure you don't put a knot after your last purl. You don't want a knot, just like at the beginning. And then you come in and you put your end tip on. And I might have gotten it wrong. You put it on this way in terms of twirling. So you come through the bottom on this end. It's all in the handout.
It's all in the handout.
Then
You just
bring it-
got her so excited for thread.
I know,
It's the
I
first
know.
time that
Add a
Janice's
few more
thread
threads.
Oh,
has ever been in the lead.
And
You know.
Zoe says that you need to run a Twitter poll.
Oh, Zoe
Zoe
knows.
Pie.
Zoe.
Okay, so now I've got the end tip on. Can you see that, Grace? Is that showing? Is that coming up as showing?
Yeah,
you
it
go.
looks good.
Okay, so there it is. You bring it down, and it'll go down even by itself. You don't have to worry about that. Then you're going to cut your threads. You know, maybe a 3 or 4 inch tail. You want to separate your threads. That's the beauty of this method. No one teaches it. Everyone is struggling
to
with
tie a
getting
little knot in the cup.
yeah. Even the needle with the twisted thread attached,
You can
you can
unthread it,
untwist it,
unfurl
and
it.
then you have something for your right hand and your left hand. Now I'm going to I've separated my threads, and I'm going to tie a very specific square knot. I go through it once, twice, 3 times, And then I want to make sure it goes into the cup and not around the handle. So it goes into the cup.
Right, and that's really important. You don't
Yeah,
want
you don't want,
little, little
you don't want it
tiny
to go
piece
around
of
the
thread.
umbrella hook. Right. And then I'm going to take the other one and go right over left, like 2 or 3 times. This one is not as important, but go through it at least twice.
That's nice.
And did I? Okay. It's, no, I got it. Okay. I'm not used to doing this on Facebook, so it's a little further away from me than I would like. Now this one you cannot wait hours to glue.
No, because you don't want it to relax.
Yeah, the square knot will versus if you notice, this is another example. We talked about this last week. If you wonder, well, which is the one I need to glue now? The one that we did the overhand knot going through itself, the threads are even. This side is the square knot, and you see how they're separated, so you know which one you need to glue now. So you want to glue that right away, and so we're going to forget about that one for a minute.
Right there.
Oh, there's the glue. Okay, so we'll glue right now, right onto, glue it right away. Wait, let me clean it a little bit. Sometimes this glue is so messy, but I would
It
love
really
the
works
name of a
nicely.
better glue than this. I've
But
never
we've used
found
it,
one.
Well, we've used it forever. It's a good
I've
glue.
used it for, yeah,
and that
almost
tip about
40
keeping
years.
it in the makeup sponge
Yes.
is a good one.
Yes. Shout out to Brittany.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brittany. So I'm just, it's not a lot of glue that's going on, but I'm making sure that the little threads are also covered.
Saturated.
Yeah. Then I'll let that dry.
Gita says wire right now because she's making lots of Christmas earrings.
Oh,
so
see?
half a point for Kate.
All right. Well,
Half a
thanks,
point.
Gita.
Hey, half a point.
I'll take
Kate.
it. I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it where I can get it.
Okay. Then I'm going to come in, and this is where we started. I'm going to take a very good flush cutter. I don't know anything better than that. And I'm going to kind of grab these threads, and I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to cut as close as I can without cutting the knot. And you see there's that little crew cut left? You don't have to worry about that. That's just going to shrink up
We'll just,
with time.
yeah.
Yeah. So now, where's that lovely clasp you made? I'll put that
Oh,
on.
perfect. There's
Okay.
that.
Did you do the bar side? You didn't do the, okay. So the last thing to this is just to understand when you're using a toggle that is has a bar, that the function of the bar portion is it has to, it's going to sit like that when it's secure, but it also has to turn sideways.
To make that bend.
Right, and if you have like a really, really big clunky bead here, it's not going to be able to go sideways through your toggle if you have a really big bead there. So if you're designing with large beads, think about adding maybe 1 or 2 small beads at the end, so that you're giving this the ability to function, to turn sideways. And for this, all of this right here has to go through, here's the one without all that stuff, has to go through all of this sideways. And that's why don't have really big bead right at the end. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, because essentially what you have to do, and let me show it on this, is that here's your loop. If I'm putting, when I'm closing a toggle, I close it, I pull the
Right.
toggle up, and see some of the beads below it need to come through that loop. So if I have a big old bead that I can't pull up and then put down, then the toggle will never be able to pull completely, and you'll just be like here, and you'll go, I can't get it through, right? So a little taper works nicely.
Okay, so I'm going to just give the little secret to the end tip. So here's your end tip, and you've got your umbrella handle like this. What we want to do is we want to bring this around so it clicks almost right in place right here. What we don't want is we don't want this.
No.
which is very common for all of us to do at the beginning. This then, if this works to your toggle here or whatever your clasp is, imagine that this wire in this sharp bend has to go back and forth, and this will just eventually open. So if you create this nice, generous but secure opening, your toggle or your lobster claw or whatever you have, here's the bar, this is going to be able to move freely. And if it can move freely, your beads and your wire and your thread won't be stressed.
No, they'll
And
last
it will
much
last.
longer.
And that gets us back to showering and putting our jewelry in the water. It's all about no stress. Less stress, longer life. In more ways than one.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's for sure.
Okay. So now we're going to put this little end tip on, and I could use
What do you need?
these, or
Do you
how
want a
about
chain
the
nose?
chain nose?
There you
Yeah.
go.
So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this around. In fact, I can just do it this way, where I just bring it around, and right before I push it in, I'm just going to just go like this a little bit, and then tuck it in, and let me make sure it's tucked in. Just like that.
Nice.
And it's
Yeah.
done.
Really super clean connection too.
That's it. And then we'll do that on the other side. We'll cut these off and do the very same thing. And that's it.
Ta-da! Super easy.
Yeah, it was
It's a nice
fun.
closure.
Yeah.
I've been, Gracie, I want to
times.
show, good times. I want to show one last thing. I've been making a little wire connection here. A kind of a cool way to embellish, because we're getting too many votes for thread, so I've got to throw in a little bit of wire. We have a lot of these kind of cool carved serpentine pieces and jade pieces. I wire wrap just like this briolette wrap. It's done the same way, just gone through. You can see side with just the same, a little bit of a heavier gauge wire. This is 24 gauge, I think, here. And I wire wrapped one of our magnetic clasps, our cuties, to that. And then that little clasp can connect right here. And then I'll come around when this is done, and I'll add another little wire wrap. You know, I'll have my end tip here eventually, and just like this connection is here, I'll connect it to that. So it adds kind of a cool decorative element to this. And the fun thing about this is a lot of times I like to repurpose my jewelry, and I'll wear it as not only as a necklace, but I'll bring it around as a bracelet. Something like these little magnetic clasps are great for bracelets, because they just close right together. You need to make sure that your piece isn't too heavy with the magnetic. But these little cuties, we call them, are great. So it's a cool way to bring kind of an interesting design into your piece. And of course, I've lost the other half of the clasp already. Somewhere. I'll find it. It's here
To
somewhere.
go to Janice's, Gita says when she makes bracelets, she always starts with the loop and puts the bar on as the last thing. This way she can double check if the bar has enough movement to fit through the loop.
That's a good tip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I think what you said.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's probably
looks nice.
that's probably a very good way to start.
Rule of thumb.
It's important though, Gita, is to just double check that you can put the few beads through, so that yes. So the
we'll
answer
go.
is yes.
The answer is yes.
Along about way. So this is a little bracelet with it finished, with your wire wraps and the end tip, and then
put
there's
those
the
guys in
earring.
there for fun.
I think it would just make such a lovely gift, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful color. But even just changing the thread to another color, which is what we were talking about,
Makes a
using
big
a different
difference.
briolette, and you suddenly have a whole different look.
That's super easy. And
Very easy.
as we mentioned earlier, you guys, you can go right to beadshopdotcom. download the handout in our project pages under our skill builders, and then drill down into our class handouts, and that's where these guys are. You can also go to the front page of the website, click on Facebook Live products, and it'll take you to a landing page that has
Right.
all of these things listed, as well as things for wire wrapping.
The Facebook button is just about halfway down though,
Yeah,
on the home page.
on the home
It's-
page. Yeah, not.
I,
right at the
I
very,
would
very
like,
top.
where is, you know me.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I
Where
do.
is it?
Where? Hey,
Hey, where is it?
where is that? Well,
You
we
just
have-
scroll down a little
right,
bit and
scroll
there's,
down, and
there's
there
the
it is.
button for it.
We have a couple. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I learned something
Me
every
too.
time. It was
Me
good.
too.
It
It
was
was
good.
fun.
We have a couple of other projects that we wanted to share with you guys that are going up.
Yes.
And for next week. And
Here, let me bring over these little
will you
dishes.
these
Yes.
precious little dishes?
Yes.
These are going to be, just to reiterate, if you're not getting our newsletter, you guys, sign up for our newsletter. For heaven's sakes, you get all kinds of really great exclusive content. One of the things that's going up a little bit later this week, Gracie is multitasking as we speak and thinking about how the homepage is going to look with all of these guys on. This is a design that Janice came up with. This was the original. It's called Strong Point. And if you go to our projects page, Strong Point is listed there along with Strong Point. That's the bronze and the Strong Point copper. Both of those are already up. But we've got two new flavors in Strong Point. We've got Strong Point Silver and the Strong Point Gold. So together, it looks just like a great holiday lights
It
collection.
does. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. How does that look? And it's a great holiday, I think, technique. It just uses one bead. It uses our laddering stitch. One bead, one leather flavor, and one button.
But if you prefer, can't you use the infinity?
Oh, absolutely. You can use it's just laddering. If you're going to do the infinity, then you just need a needle. But
Thank you.
yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Gita
really.
just posted it for us.
Oh,
Gita.
good. Good.
So these will be up. The new editions, they'll be up in time for the weekend for a weekend
And
project.
they're really great for holiday.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I'd
easy.
wear that with like a black. If
They're
someone
so good.
invited me out for a holiday party.
Well, if someone would let someone have the time to maybe plan a holiday party, right? I mean,
Right. That's
maybe
true.
we'll just have a holiday party here on Facebook Live. I think is what we'll do.
Speaking of invites, are we giving anything away today?
We are.
What are we
Shall
giving
we?
away?
Shall we do
Yeah.
our final
Yeah.
wrap ups?
Are we close to the end?
We are. We're just about there. So
Also, you can stack these, can't you?
You can.
oh, you can.
yes.
And I'm wearing. This is one, you guys, that hasn't even been.
No, that's
It's not even
up.
out. So what
Yeah.
are you wearing?
So I'm wearing
Morning.
Morning Snow-
Morning Snow.
Morning Snow.
Morning Snow by Robin Tobias. I love this. I
And
love
that's something
this.
that's up on our website actually right
but
now.
you could pair that with this, or you could put it, with look at it with the
Yeah.
silver. How
It's so
pretty,
pretty.
it is. Yeah.
It's really nice. This is another one by Robin. That next week I think
We're putting that
we're
up.
gonna be planning some
Yeah,
laddering.
We're going. Yes,
Right?
we're going to show.
And we're going to share some laddering on Facebook
Yeah.
Live and some tricks, and maybe we can show laddering versus infinity stitch maybe,
Yes.
and kind of
Great
play
idea.
around a little bit with
Yeah.
that. But this is one, this is a recipe that will be up. Robin did some really cool colorways with this, so we'll be sharing that next week. Shall we
Right.
just show them?
Yeah.
Look at those. They're right there. Bam.
Here are the other.
Not even published.
Yeah. We've been so busy.
But these guys will be up. But look at how pretty with just this
Yeah.
simple size 8
Yeah.
seed bead and our favorite little
And
shadows.
little shadows.
This Picasso check glass. So they're really great. So these guys will be up, and we'll do some addressing of how we deal with the laddering and the infinity stitch. But as always, when you stick with us to the very end, you guys, we always have a treat for you. So when you go to beadshopdotcom right now in December, if you go to our homepage, you have our regular discounts. The more you spend, the more you save. We've got an extra discount
Right.
on there. We've upped our game a little bit. So when you spend, you can put in a 15% discount with no minimum. you can put in a 20% discount code that has a minimum of,
$60?
pardon me, I think 60. And then we have a $25 or 25% discount with a minimum of 180, I believe it is.
You can tell
right?
that we're not like business people. and
Right,
that
we're like, it's
like-
there, just go.
Yeah.
But we've also added, you guys, one more discount. It's a 30% when you spend over $350. So the more you spend, the more you save, and you can choose those discounts right on the homepage at beadshop.com, right on the homepage bar.
Right.
So you don't have to have us telling you. Yeah, question, Gracie.
So, just as a reminder, Kelly is saying that she's had problems seeing this today, this
Okay.
live. It's on YouTube,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
We
for
upload
sure.
these to
Yeah,
YouTube.
so Kelly, if your connection, sometimes, and I've noticed when I watch different Facebook Lives, and thanks for bringing that up. When I've watched different Facebook Lives, sometimes the audio or the video kind of jumps so that my device catches up with what's being broadcast. If you watch the replay on our Facebook page, where this will be archived under our videos tab, and it's also archived, it'll be up probably by tomorrow on our YouTube channel. You can watch it without any interruptions, without any bounciness or anything like that. So that's a great way to watch your replays there as well. So if you don't catch it all live, there are plenty of opportunities for you to rewatch. So we do have a nice little giveaway working with the beads that Janice was working with today. It's
These
a
are new
strand.
pearls we
yeah,
just
our
got
new
in.
pearls.
From Vintage Finds.
Yeah.
These are old pearls. They're just wonderful, wonderful freshwater pearls. Nice size.
Nice
and
sheen.
Yeah, and
Beautiful.
beautiful nacre and very affordable, and they're in white and gray.
Yeah, and those were the gray ones.
Yeah.
They're up on our site.
Right.
And we're also giving you one of our little sweet beach charms that are in there. So we've got these little bags. So, as always, we've got a code for you. The first 10 customers who make an order, there's no minimum order, but you do need to place an order, and you write in, I should have made this a different one, I should have said pearls, or thread is the best, but,
thread is
if you write in pearls are the best in the comments section as you're checking out, and you're one of the first 10 orders, we'll throw this as a little thank you
Right.
in there for watching.
Right.
It'll be a nice little gift for you, and you can start your pearl knotting.
Right.
As always, before we sign off, if you have any questions, you guys, I love your questions. You can email them over to me at kate@beadshop.com, and I will be glad to address them on air, or I'll shoot you a little email. We also do our best to kind of comb back through the comments and answer those questions as well, so keep an eye out for those. But it was great. This is
I had
great
fun.
pearl knotting.
I had fun.
Epic.
I love sharing pearl knotting.
Yeah, it's a really great tip, a great technique. And next week, join us at 10:30. We'll be back next Wednesday, 10:30 live Pacific Standard Time for some tricks to laddering.
Yes.
Tricks to laddering and infinity stitch and
Yep.
these stacked bracelets. It's going to be awesome. So here comes our letter carrier, a mailman
Hi,
taking your packages right out to you.
Yeah.
We're working hard to get all of
Yeah.
those orders out, so we really super appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
And have a
Happy
great
Wednesday.
day. Happy Wednesday. See you guys soon.